Right. So then the next term which we have in essay 200 is regarding professional judgment. Okay, throughout the course of auditor, you need to exercise professional judgment. Before this we studied that auditor, you have to maintain an attitude of professional skepticism. And now we are saying that auditor, throughout the audit, you need to exercise professional judgment. What is judgment? Decision making, है ना? It's your judgment, मतलब it's your decision. Now, where in an audit do you have to take a decision? आप audit कर रहे हो Jio Limited का. Where in the audit do you need to take a decision? हाँ, so how much, what is material and what is not material? So materiality is a decision.
What is reasonable and what is conclusive?
Okay, whether, what type of evidence, whether the evidence you've obtained is persuasive, conclusive, whether you want more evidence or this much is enough, that's a decision. Sampling, है ना? The nature, timing and extent of audit procedures to be performed. 10 samples to be checked or 50 to be checked or 100 to be checked or all to be checked, it's a decision. Okay, so any matters which require representations from the management, okay, so it's decisions. So formulating a conclusion, whether to issue an unmodified opinion, whether to issue a qualified opinion, adverse opinion, disclaimer of opinion, it's a decision. Whether to do the checking on your own. So that comes in the audit procedures, whether you should do the checking. How much is the risk which is there in the audit? है ना? How much audit risk is there? What are the matters to be communicated to TCWG? Are they such significant matters that you should communicate to TCWG? Where management might also have made a lot of decisions while preparing financial statements. You know, like how much of our depreciation ka rate to be taken, how much of retirement age is to be taken. So evaluating management's judgment, कि management का judgment बराबर है क्या नहीं, that auditor needs to check by professional judgment. And so how much is audit materiality, how much audit evidence to be obtained, how much audit procedures to be performed, what audit conclusion to be reached, how much audit risk is there. So to summarize, in a nutshell, professional judgment is to be exercised by the auditor throughout the audit. Planning से लेके conclusion तक पूरे audit में आपको decision ही decision लेना पड़ता है. क्या चेकिंग करना है, कैसे चेकिंग करना है, कितना चेकिंग करना है, कितना एविडेंस ऑब्टेन करना है, कितना सैंपल चेक करना है, कितना मटीरियलिटी लेना है, थ्रू आउट द ऑडिट. रादर इट वुड नॉट बी रॉन्ग टू से कि जितना आपका डिसीजन बराबर उतना आपका ऑडिट बराबर. तो अब व्हाट आर दे सेइंग कि दिस जजमेंट, दिस डिसीजन मेकिंग शुड बी एकदम प्रोफेशनल. सो व्हेन वुड यू से कि योर डिसीजन इज प्रोफेशनल? When would you say? When you have taken an informed decision. Decision making which is backed by certain logic. There is some reason behind your decision. Say you went for the audit of Jio Limited, you took materiality 20 lakh. Somebody asks you, why you took materiality 20 lakh? It says, nahi, something I had to take. So my mind said that you take 20 lakh. So I took 20 lakh. So that's only decision. That's not decision, what you say, logical decision. And on the other hand, you show a one-page working note. Okay, see, these are all the workings which I have done. And based on that, the materiality has come 20 lakh. So this is decision and this is informed decision making. Decision making which is backed by certain logic. If anybody asks you, auditor, why you issued qualified opinion? You say, every year we were issuing unmodified, this year for a change we issued qualified. You can't do that, no. There has to be some logic. Auditor, why you checked only 30 samples? Last year you had checked 50. So you need to have an explanation. Like, you know, in your SFM paper, you see some particular 4-mark ka question over there. You understand? And the moment you see the question, you take the calculator and tuck, 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 tuck. And you know that final answer is 14,000. Calculator पे आ जाता है ना, step 1, step 2, step 3. So now say question number 3A. Can you write 14,000 final answer? This is not CPT, no? Goda. This is not that way, na, ke 14,000. CPT mein this would have done. Now what you have to do? Question number 3A. Pehle facts, pehle all the data you collect. है ना? Then after the data you collect, then you apply formula 1. Then from that you get a number. Then from that you get the next number. And then by the end of the page you write down ke final answer is 14,000. You understand? That is informed decision making. Simple language. If anybody asks you in the audit, on what basis have you taken this decision, you should have an explanation for the same. Then your decision is a professional decision. What is the definition of professional judgment? It says application of relevant training, knowledge and experience. So from where are you going to apply? On what basis are you going to take the decision? TKE, training, knowledge and experience. Training, whatever you've learned, whatever procedures have been taught to you. Knowledge, whatever you've gained, and experience. Training, knowledge and experience within the context provided by the auditing, accounting and ethical standards. Obviously, this is your boundary line. No? Whatever you do, you need to keep in mind the auditing, accounting and ethical standard. कि standard क्या बोलता है? Standard में क्या लिखा है? Standard में allowed है क्या? वो हमेशा देखना पड़ता है ना? Auditing, accounting and ethical standards in the making of informed decisions. The application of relevant training, knowledge and experience within the context provided by the auditing, accounting and ethical standards in the making of informed decisions. Right, and very important, that professional judgment should be appropriately documented. है ना? कि professional judgment very important, कि it should be appropriately documented. You know, professional judgment, it should be appropriately documented. You understand? Means say last year you had somebody, some person from your office had gone for that audit of Geo Limited. And some fellow from the office had gone for the audit of Geo Limited last year. And then he did the audit, फिर उसने firm छोड़ दिया, फिर वो चला गया. फिर अभी अगले साल you have to go for the audit. Next year you've been told कि अभी that person has left, तो इस साल से अभी तुम्हें वो audit देखना है. And then what? Obviously when you go, you take the last year file with you. And then my God, how much you curse that person. कुछ समझ नहीं रहा है फाइल देख के, किधर से 20,000 आया, किधर से 1,000 आया, कहाँ से 30 आया, कहाँ से, you know why? Because he is not appropriately documented his decision. आप बोलते हो ना कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, कहाँ से ये नंबर लिया है, where it is taken. That is what professional judgment has not been appropriately documented. Whereas SA 200 says that auditor professional judgment needs to be appropriately documented in such a manner that an experienced auditor, obviously a doctor will not understand looking at the audit file, but an experienced auditor looking at the audit file should understand what was the decision taken. You understand na, your SFM ka problem, how much ever that I told you na, that 14,000 answer ka question, how much ever in detail you have done, if you show it to an engineering teacher, that person will not understand. If you show it to your SFM teacher or a CA teacher, then that person should understand. So it says professional judgment, very important, needs to be appropriately documented. Okay, why did you issue a qualified opinion? Why did you decide to use the work of an expert? Why did you decide to obtain so much evidence? It needs to be appropriately documented. Right? So attitude of professional skepticism, and you need to exercise professional judgment. What is professional judgment? The application of relevant training, knowledge and experience within the context provided by the auditing, accounting and ethical standards in the making of informed decisions. It is to be exercised by the auditor throughout the audit. Planning से लेके conclusion तक. Throughout the course of audit, you need to exercise professional judgment, and it needs to be appropriately documented. Do you understand that? So far, what have we seen in SA 200? 1 overall objectives. है ना? In that we saw 3 terms: reasonable assurance, free from material misstatement and AFRF. Then ethical requirements including independence, IOC CPT, and independence not only in appearance but also independence of mind. Then after that we saw attitude of professional skepticism, that is questioning mind, not to accept anything blindly. Then we said audited, throughout the course of audit you need to exercise professional judgment. Now I come to the next term, which is again a very important term in audit, which is regarding the sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. SAAE. What is SAAE? Sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. Right? Sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. Right. So say as an example, I want to buy 2 kg good quality carrots. Gajar. As an example, say I want to buy 2 kg good quality carrots. So 2 kg is the quantity and good is the quality of the carrots which I want. Right? So I go to the vegetable market and first I do a walkthrough test. I go through all the vegetable vendors who are sitting. I ask each one of them what is the rate. And then while coming back, I take a decision where I should buy. Whenever you go, that time you should never buy. Because when you go ahead, then you think, wahan pe better hai. So first what you should do? First take a round. And then after that, while coming back, you should start buying. Okay, so now while coming back, I decide that this fellow who is selling it at say 40 rupees kg. So I stand near him and I tell him, 2 kg carrots, give me. So 80 rupees. Okay, so now city mandai, say old vegetable market. So they have that taraju, weighing balance. So immediately the moment you tell him 2 kilo, he will pick up that 2 kilo ka measurement and he'll put it on one side. Can you imagine? And then he will start putting the carrots. Then what I'll tell him? You wait. You give me the basket. Let me select and put. So then I start selecting and putting it over there. Then he starts putting it in that balance. Then what these people do? By the time you put it over in that, they put 2-3 on their own. They will put 2-3 on their own. So then I'll tell him, no, that what you've put, abhi, remove that. You remove that. Then I will put. Then what he'll say? Ho gaya, 2 kilo ho gaya. I'll say, abhi nahi hua, abhi aur do baithega. You understand? And then finally he says, bag dikhao. And then I show the bag and then he puts it into the bag. And by the time I'm giving him the 80 rupees, okay, he says, madam, instead of 2 kg, no madam, you can take these 3 kg carrots. ये देखो यहाँ पे ये side पे है. But quality, it is a bit inferior quality. Price same, 80 rupees for 2 kg. So he's saying quantity more, but quality less. I will say, no. Quantity cannot compensate for quality. So he says, okay, madam, forget that. Instead of 2 kg, na madam, you take 1.5 kg. Price same, 80 rupees. But these are, no madam, imported. And imported का Indian context में simple meaning क्या होता है? उसके ऊपर sticker लगाया हुआ रहता है. You understand? They have a sticker sheet. Lots of, हर एक country का sticker sheet होता है. Washington, New Zealand, you name it and they have the sticker sheet. You understand? And then there is a small boy sitting over there and he is putting a sticker on each one of them. You understand? So he says quantity less, but quality more. So I'll say no. Quality cannot compensate for quantity. So then he says, okay madam, you want 2 kg na? What do you do? 1 kg you take carrot. And 1 kg you take green peas. That is also very good, it has come today. Now I will tell him, see, I want to make gajar ka halwa. Now what I will do of the green peas? Green peas are not relevant only for me. So he says, okay madam, you take these 2 kg good quality carrots, you can take these only. Because what? Quantity cannot compensate for quality. Quality cannot compensate for quantity. And green peas cannot compensate for the carrot which I want. You understand? It's not relevant, no? Right. Similarly, say as an example, at a particular client, I want to check the addition to fixed assets. Example. How many samples I have selected? Say I have selected 10 samples. And for these 10 samples, सबसे पहले for the additions which I have selected, I want the asset requisition का note. Then I want the quotations. Then I want the purchase order. Then I want the asset inward note. Then I want the quality inspection, मतलब whatever goods have been ordered बराबर आए हैं क्या. Then I want the invoice. Then I want the voucher for the accounting entry. Then I want the checking for depreciation from date put to use. Then I want to check the payment made to the supplier on the due date and the proper disclosures in the financial statements, like vouching verification type. You understand? So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. For these 10 samples, I want these 10 things. If I get these 10 things, I'll say quality is also okay. 10 additions to fixed asset. आपके client के यहाँ से हजारों additions हुए रहेंगे during the year. On an अंदाजा, I have selected say 10 samples. So for 10 additions, I want to check these 10 things. Okay, now client again if they start telling me, see instead of 10 ना, you check 20. But हर एक voucher में कुछ तो problem होगा. किसी में asset inspection का note ही नहीं होगा. Some will not have the accounting entries का period account would be wrong. Some will not have a quotation. So on an average 7 you will get. You will not get all the 10 evidences which you require. What will I say? Quantity cannot compensate for quality. Then they say okay, instead of 10 you check 6. But for 6 we will give you 15 evidences. I will say no, quality cannot compensate for quantity. Then they say, see, you want to check 10 now. What do you do? 5, you check fixed assets. And 5, you check inventory. I will check inventory alag se, but inventory is not relevant when I want to check fixed assets. Na? So inventory is to not relevant only. You understand? I want quantity also right and I want the quality also to be right. है ना? तो ऑडिट एविडेंस, जैसे यू नो जब किसी के लिए है ना, कोई बॉय के लिए वंस यू क्लियर योर एग्जाम्स है ना, दे स्टार्ट लुकिंग आउट फॉर अ सुटेबल मैच ना, तो फिर बोलता है ना कि लड़की कैसी होनी चाहिए. ऐसा सुना होगा ना कि कैसी लड़की, कैसी बहू आनी चाहिए, कैसी लड़की होनी चाहिए. यू माइट बी नोइंग दोज 2 वर्ड्स ना. हाँ, सुंदर और सुशील होनी चाहिए. सिर्फ सुंदर भी नहीं चलेगी, सिर्फ सुशील भी नहीं चलेगी. बोलते हैं ना ऐसे, सुंदर सुशील होनी चाहिए, है ना. वैसे ऑडिट एविडेंस इट शुड बी सफिशिएंट and appropriate. It is not sufficient or appropriate. Sufficiency refers to the quantity of audit evidence. Appropriateness refers to the quality of audit evidence. And quality means 2 things. It should be relevant and it should be reliable. And reliable, if you remember, external evidence is more reliable than internal evidence. Written evidence is more reliable than oral evidence. And evidence obtained from third party is more reliable than that obtained from the client. And so relevant and reliable. है ना, क्वांटिटी भी बराबर होनी चाहिए और क्वालिटी भी बराबर होना चाहिए. इट इज नॉट सफिशिएंट और appropriate. It is sufficient and appropriate. Why? Because quantity cannot compensate for quality, quality cannot compensate for quantity. You can't say ज़्यादा चेक करो तो क्वालिटी कम चलेगा, या क्वालिटी ज़्यादा अच्छा है तो क्वांटिटी कम. No. Sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. Say example, I want to check the valuation of building. I'm telling client, I want to check the valuation of your building. Please give me the evidence. So what evidence should you get for checking the valuation of building? The valuer's report. What happened? The client give me the title deed of the building. See, title deed is relevant, but it is not relevant for checking the valuation of the building. Title deed is relevant to check the ownership of the building, to check the rights of the building. For checking the valuation of the building, the valuer's report is relevant. You understand, no? What is relevant? It should be relevant. When I want to check valuation, title deed is not relevant for me. Right, so it should be relevant and reliable. And reliable you already know. So that is sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Again, a term which keeps on coming again and again, SAAE. Sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Quantity and quality. Both should be okay. Right, then after that, now I come to the most important term of SA 200, which is audit risk. In the entire essay, this is the most important one, audit risk. Right. So let's take the word one by one. What is risk? Audit risk. So first only tell me what is risk?
What if and should be is not.
That's a misstatement.
Possibilities of misstatement.
Possibilities of misstatement. Okay. Is there any risk in your life?
Yes.
What risk? That you may pass?
May not pass.
Obviously, passing is not a risk. Failing is a risk. No? That's what I said. May not pass is a risk. No, passing is obviously not a risk. You understand? No. So risk is always got that something could go wrong, as you're saying. No, what is risk? It says कि कुछ गड़बड़ हो सकता है, कि something could go wrong. कुछ अगर बराबर हो रहा है तो obviously that is not risk. So just literal meaning क्या होता है कि something could go wrong. That is risk. Then what is audit? IPCC, what is audit? पढ़ाया होगा ना क्लास में definition. Audit, what is audit? Independent examination of financial information of any entity, whether profit oriented or not. So what is audit? To cut a big definition short, it is expression of opinion. Examination done to express an opinion. Now let's combine the two. Expression of opinion could go wrong is audit risk. Expression of opinion could go wrong. Like in case of Satyam, what opinion did the auditor express? That financial statements of Satyam Computer Services Limited are true and fair. Whereas what was the reality? There was a 7,000 crore ka fraud, misstatement in the financial statements of Satyam. 7,000 crore ka misstatement. What audit report, if you look at, what is the opinion expressed by the auditor? True and fair view. And what was the reality? There was a 7,000 crore ka fraud in the financial statements of Satyam. So did the opinion of the auditor go wrong? Did the opinion of the auditor go wrong? Exactly, brother, with a very huge amount. Is this audit risk? Yes, expression of opinion could go wrong. You said nothing is wrong, but actually everything is wrong, that type. And your opinion went wrong. And sometimes you say, कि नहीं, इस time तो audit पक्का निकल जाएगा. और sometimes you say, FR तो 30 के ऊपर आएगा ही नहीं, और paper देखते, result देखते 55. And expression of opinion could go wrong. That is audit risk. Is reverse possible? कि auditor has said in his report कि Jio Limited there is a 2,000 crore का fraud. And reality, fraud what कुछ नहीं. Financial statements give a true and fair view. Audit report में क्या लिखा है? There is a 2,000 crore का misstatement. What is the reality? Misstatement, nothing. They are giving a true and fair view. Is this also audit risk? Is this also audit risk? Theoretically, yes, but practically, no. Which client will allow you? There is no fraud in their financial statements and you're writing in your report that there is a 7,000 crore, 2,000 crore fraud. So it says this is audit risk. Standard में कैसे लिखा है? Second वाले के लिए this is audit risk, but this audit risk is ordinarily insignificant. This audit risk is ordinarily insignificant. Second one, this is audit risk, but it is immaterial, no, ignored type, ordinarily insignificant. अब तुम्हारा CA का practice है, you have your own practice, so it's your business only, no? Having your own practice, it's a business for us. So being into practice, do you also as a CA have certain business risks? Do you have some business risks? Yes, Abhi Companies Act 2013, rotation of company auditor, all the CA firms are having business risks. Because all the existing audits are going, new audits have to come. After Satyam, PwC, their name went wrong, no? Okay, they did audit of Satyam, wrong report. So, they had an adverse reputation type of for some time. But rather, their business increased. Because all who wanted to do fraud went to them. You understand? No? Right. But anyways, CA has some business risks. Being a CA in practice, you also have some business risk. Sometimes some litigation may happen against you. You may face some adverse publicity or so. Are these CA's business risks covered in the audit risk that I am discussing with you? ये जो CA के business risk है कि adverse publicity हो सकता है, business चला जा सकता है, loss हो सकता है. Are these covered in the audit risk that I am discussing with you? No, these are not covered in the audit risk that I am discussing. तो third वाला बोलते हैं not covered. Second वाला बोलते हैं ordinarily insignificant. So to conclude, for us, audit risk means only one thing. Auditor said true and fair, but actually they are not. What is the technical definition of audit risk? The risk that the auditor expresses, an inappropriate audit opinion when the financial statements are materially misstated. The risk that the auditor expresses an inappropriate audit opinion. A true and fair is an inappropriate audit opinion when the financial statements are materially misstated. You said true and fair. In reality, there was a 7,000 crore fraud. You should not have said true and fair. Your opinion has gone wrong. The risk that the auditor expresses an inappropriate audit opinion, galat audit opinion, when the financial statements are materially misstated. Can anybody make a sentence for the second one for me? ये जो second one है ना यहाँ पे, ये वाला जो हमने बताया ordinarily insignificant है. Can anybody make a sentence for the second one for me? The risk that the auditor expresses an inappropriate audit opinion when the financial statements are not materially misstated. Just add not, na? Second के लिए, second मतलब कौन सा? ये ordinarily insignificant के लिए. How will you make a sentence for that one? The risk that the auditor expresses an inappropriate audit opinion, 2,000 crore, when the financial statements are not materially misstated. This audit risk is ordinarily insignificant, and auditor's business risks are not covered in the audit risk that we are discussing. समझता है? So what is audit risk? The risk that the auditor expresses an inappropriate audit opinion when the financial statements are materially misstated. You have to remember this table. ये table याद रखा मतलब you remember, get all the 3 points. Inappropriate audit opinion when the financial statements are materially misstated, this is audit risk. Inappropriate audit opinion when the financial statements are not materially misstated, this audit risk is ordinarily insignificant. It is audit risk but insignificant. And auditor's business risks are not covered in the audit risk that we are discussing. Do you understand? Tell me once again, what's the definition of audit risk? The risk that the auditor expresses an inappropriate audit opinion when the financial statements are materially misstated. ये याद रखने का फिर गड़बड़ नहीं होता है. True and fair view and 7,000 crore. Opinion and reality. Okay. Now, you remember at the beginning of the essay, we had studied the term reasonable assurance. And how had I defined reasonable assurance as? It is a high level of assurance, but not an absolute assurance due to the inherent limitations of an audit. The most important one being that evidence obtained is persuasive rather than conclusive in nature. So now reasonable assurance what? That the financial statements are free from material misstatement. Do you remember that? Reasonable assurance that financial statements are free from material misstatement. है ना कि 90 आई एम गिविंग यू गारंटी, रीजनेबल गारंटी कि ये फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स में कोई मटेरियल मिसस्टेटमेंट नहीं है. एंड इट्स अ हाई लेवल बट नॉट एब्सोल्यूट. सो से एज एन एग्जाम्पल आई टेक इट 97%. You can take 95, you can take 90, you can take 99, take anything which is less than 100. No debate why I have taken 97. ऐसे. There is no explanation for that. So what am I saying? 97%. These financial statements are free from material misstatement. Means on the other hand, what am I also telling? 3% they may not be free from material misstatement, and that is audit risk. 3% they may not be free from material misstatement. It's like, when you say 90% I will clear group 1 this time. 90% I will clear group 1 this time. So obviously mathematically only 10% should be the possibility that you may fail. You can't say 90% I'll pass, 80% I'll fail. It's balancing figure na yaar. If you say 90% I will pass, matlab 10% is the probability of failure. Okay, so now how much is reasonable assurance in my example? 97%. 97% I am telling you that these financial statements are free from material misstatement. So how much is audit risk? See, I am telling you, whatever happens, 90% इस टाइम मुझे ग्रुप 1 क्लियर करना है. मतलब ग्रुप 1 नहीं क्लियर करने की पॉसिबिलिटी मुझे 10% पे रखनी ही पड़ेगी. और जितना मुझे वो फेलियर का प्रोबेबिलिटी पॉसिबिलिटी कम रखना है, उतना मुझे पढ़ाई ज्यादा करना पड़ेगा. एंड द मोर इफेक्टिवली आई स्टडी, उतना मेरा फेलियर का चांस कम और उतना मेरा पास होने का चांस ज्यादा. वही द लेस आई स्टडी, उतना ही फेल होने का चांस ज्यादा और पास होने का चांस कम. आई डू अंडरस्टैंडिंग? दीज ऑल थ्री आर गोइंग टुगेदर. तो इफ 90% आई से आई वांट टू क्लियर ग्रुप 1, so for that I have to ensure that my probability of not clearing group 1 is kept at 10%. I have to manage it. I have to maintain it at 10%. And how do I manage it at 10%? By studying more and more and more. Right. So similarly, audit risk is not 3%. Audit risk is to be kept at 3%. You have to keep it at 3%. You have to maintain it at 3%. You understand now? What happens when you say audit risk is 3? So then you say, madam, risk to kam hai. Audit risk is not come. You have to keep it come. मतलब what am I trying to tell you? जितना आपको assurance ज़्यादा देना है, उतना आपको risk कम रखना पड़ेगा. और जितना आपको रिस्क कम रखना है कि ये ओपिनियन में गो रॉन्ग, उतना आपको एविडेंस ज्यादा ऑब्टेन करना पड़ेगा. एंड ऑब्वियसली द मोर द एविडेंस, द मोर द अश्योरेंस. द मोर द एविडेंस, द मोर द अश्योरेंस. सेम ना यार, पास, फेल एंड स्टडी. द मोर यू स्टडी, द मोर द प्रोबेबिलिटी दैट यू विल pass, and obviously the lower the probability that you will fail. It goes together, no? So the higher the assurance you want to give, the lower the risk is to be kept. And how do you lower the risk? By obtaining more and more and more and more of evidence. Can audit risk be zero? Never, because reasonable assurance is a high level of assurance but not an absolute assurance. Do you understand? Audit risk is to be kept. वही audit risk बढ़ गया, 5% हो गया, तो assurance 95% हो जाएगा. Audit risk 10% हो गया, तो assurance 90%. That you understand, no? So the higher the assurance, the lower the risk is to be kept. You have to reduce the audit risk. And how do you reduce audit risk? By doing more checking, by obtaining more sufficient appropriate audit evidence. Right. And this audit risk which is to be kept at 3, abhi sabko samajhta hai, audit risk is to be kept at 3, is further divided under 2. It says audit risk is the function of risk of material misstatement and detection risk. Audit risk is the function of risk of material misstatement and detection risk, right? So copy down this chart. Written? Right, now pay attention. Yes, audit risk is the function of risk of material misstatement and detection risk. So first let's try to understand this term, risk of material misstatement. Is everybody with me? Right, risk of material misstatement. I think material misstatement you already know. Material difference between what is and what should be. है ना, risk of material misstatement. What is material misstatement? वो बताया था ना, 120 crore and 100 crore valuation of inventory. So material difference between what is and what should be. Then what is risk of material misstatement? Risk of material difference between what is and what should be.
Material misstatement will occur.
Will occur. Will. Might. Could occur. है ना, इट में, जैसे हमने वो वहां बताया था ना कि 30 लाख and 7 crore, शायद कुछ तो गड़बड़ हो सकता है, पक्का नहीं बोल रहे हैं. That's a risk of material misstatement. Okay, now understand. When I go for the audit, है ना, Geo Limited, when I go for the audit, first thing when I go for an audit, I do KOC, knowledge of client's business. है ना, I understand the entity and its environment. We have a separate essay for that also. We'll come to that later, essay 315. And I understand the entity and its environment. By understanding the entity and its environment, I have so understood that last year the purchase price for a particular product was 700. Example I am taking. 700 rupees was the purchase price in 2016 for a particular product. 2017, this purchase price has increased to 1800 per kg, whatever it is. Last year, the demand for the company's product was say 2000 units. This year, the demand for the company's product has come down to 73 units. Last year, the tax rate of the government was 12%. This year, the tax rate has increased to 38%. As an example, now, I've done KOC, knowledge of client's business, understanding the entity and its environment. Like if I go for the Tata Sons audit this year, I will come to know that Cyrus Mistry, 5-page letter he's written and sent it over there. And he said that non-existent entity ko 22 crore ka payment kiya hai. And all that. So obviously as an auditor, he's written now all the internal gossip, all the internal things about the company in that letter. Top management, they were not happy with his performance. Unceremoniously he has been removed. There was no farewell party given. All of a sudden in the middle of the board meeting he said you are out. You're no longer. So I came to know that kuch to gadbad hai. Ki Tata Motors, Tata Sons top management has left. He's written a 5-page letter. Understanding the entity and its environment. And by looking at this, I'm not sure. But I think there might be some material misstatement. Like मुझे लगता है कि इतना अगर purchase price बढ़ गया है तो शायद there might be some under recording of purchases. इतना अगर sales कम हो गया तो there might be some bogus revenue recognition. इतना अगर tax rate बढ़ गया है तो maybe some bogus expenditure might have been booked. Now, have these events occurred because I have gone for the audit? मैं ऑडिट पे गई 2017 खत्म हुआ देन आई वेंट फॉर द ऑडिट मेरे ऑडिट पे जाने के कारण ये सब हुआ है ये तो पहले भी था उनका डिमांड कम हुआ तो कम हुआ प्राइस बढ़ा तो बढ़ा टैक्स रेट बढ़ा तो बढ़ा एज एन ऑडिटर मेरा देयर इज नो कंट्रीब्यूशन इन दैट बट मुझे लगता है व्हाट आई थिंक बिकॉज ऑफ दिस देयर माइट बी सम इम्पैक्ट ऑन द फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स माइट बी दैट इज रिस्क ऑफ मटीरियल मिसस्टेटमेंट risk that the financial statements may be materially misstated prior to audit. It is not because that I have come for the audit, these risks are there. These are already there before I went for the audit. As an auditor, by doing KOC, I only assess how much is the RMM, risk of material misstatement. You understand first, this technically you have to understand. This risk concept is very important one. And a risk that the financial statements may be materially misstated prior to audit. So I assess these. Okay, now, what does the standard further say? Okay, this risk of material misstatement, it could be at the it's written in your chart now, financial statement level, or it could be at the assertion level. Assertion level, they have given 3 over there. Account balances, classes of transaction, presentation and disclosure. Account balances matlab balance sheet items. All balances are there in the balance sheet. Classes of transactions matlab profit and loss account items, and presentation and disclosure matlab notes. So financial statement level or assertion level. Now pay attention, all pens down. I have assessed such a risk of material misstatement which I think it can affect any part of the financial statements or it can affect many parts of the financial statement. Can you think of any such risk at the financial statement level? कि मैडम ये ऐसा रिस्क है ना किधर भी पूरे फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट्स पे मैडम इसका इम्पैक्ट आ सकता है क्रेडिटर्स ना फेक तो क्रेडिटर सो दैट इज अकाउंट बैलेंस हाँ बट देन ठीक है मेन इज क्रेडिटर्स ना you can pinpoint which account it is affecting. You are able to identify ना कि इसका effect creditors पे आ रहा है. Depreciation, assertion level. You pinpointing.
Basic
Okay, going concern maybe.
A product, by manufacturing a product there has been default.
So ठीक है, product purchases, assertion level. Okay, C. Estimate, account balance. You said na estimate, so you pinpointing. Okay, right. I went for the audit of Jio Limited. I went for a discussion to the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of Jio Limited. And I talked to him. Half an hour, 40 minutes our meeting was going on. And you know, some persons you talk to and you are like, kuch to gadbad hai yaar. Your sixth sense tells you, I am not comfortable with all story what he is telling. You come out from this cabin and you are disturbed. You say, इसने कुछ तो किया है गड़बड़ फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में. कुछ तो गड़बड़ किया है फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट में. डेटर में किया होगा, क्रेडिटर में किया होगा, लोन में किया होगा, सेल्स में किया होगा, परचेस में किया होगा, ढूंढते रह जाओगे. You understand? So financial statement level. Say one example could be doubts regarding the integrity of management. See, very easy now. Same thing if I say, okay, I think CEO has done a fraud in revenue. So it is assertion level. If I say CEO has done fraud in revenue, so then it is assertion level. But if I say CEO has done some fraud, but I am not able to tell you where he has done the fraud, then financial statement level. If I say, this will explain it very easily to you, non-compliance with AS, financial statement level. Non-compliance with AS6, assertion level. Incomplete accounting records, financial statement level. Incomplete fixed assets register, assertion level. Weak control environment, financial statement level. Weak salary controls, assertion level. Are you getting that? Unusual pressures on management, financial statement level. Revenue recognition, there is a fraud, assertion level. Very simple. If you are able to pinpoint which element of financial information could be affected, assertion level, otherwise financial statement level, which can affect any or which can affect many parts of the financial statements, which is pervasive, not persuasive, pervasive overall. Persuasive अलग, ये pervasive है. Audit में दोनों terms use होते रहते हैं, pervasive, persuasive. Persuasive most likely to be true than not, and pervasive overall. And pervasive. There is no hard and fast rule. If you think it can affect more than one element, financial statement level. If you can pinpoint, assertion. Are you getting? Exam में question आता है, audit risk at financial statement level, 4 marks. We'll see that in essay 315. Is everybody getting? An assertion level, do you understand? Pinpoint. Wholesale, retail. India level, state level. Whichever way you understand. Okay, now assertion level. So what I am telling you. See now, listen now what I am telling you. मुझे ऐसा लगता है, शायद, पक्का तो नहीं, रिस्क ऑफ मटेरियल मिसस्टेटमेंट है, कि शायद जियो लिमिटेड के इन्वेंट्री में कुछ तो प्रॉब्लम है. मुझे ऐसा लगता है, आई थिंक सो, कि देयर इज सम प्रॉब्लम इन द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ इन्वेंट्री एट जियो लिमिटेड. सो ऑब्वियसली इट्स अ रिस्क ऑफ मटेरियल मिसस्टेटमेंट एट द assertion level. Now my next question, why do you think कि Jio Limited inventory valuation there is a problem? है ना? So you say, madam, last year the demand for the company's product was 2000, this year the demand has come down to 73. You understand? And that is why I think they might have done some gadbad in their inventory valuation, because undervaluation they might have done. So now this is an inherent risk. इसमें control की क्या गलती है? And madam, their inventory controls are very weak. There is no monitoring regarding the movement of inventory. They have no procedure for finding out obsolete non-moving inventory, and that is why their inventory valuation would have gone wrong. Then that is control risk. Let me give you one more example before I come to the definitions. Say you are doing the audit of AS Foundation, and then you say AS Foundation revenue, I think there is a problem. Revenue, yani ki assertion level? Assertion level? Then I ask, why you think AS Foundation revenue there is some problem? Madam, last batch in which there were 650 students, in the current batch there are only 38 students. Last batch, say before this batch there were 650 students, and now this year batch there are say 38 students. So there is a probability that over recognition of revenue, window dressing might have been done. And madam, their staff is not checking the receipts when the students enter into the classroom. And that is why students who have not taken admission or taken admission in some previous batch are attending the current batch. So that's a weakness in control. No? Receipts not being checked when students entered into the classroom. And because of a weakness in control, there could be a misstatement, that is control risk. Before consideration of control, there could be a misstatement, that is inherent risk. Listen to the definition carefully. Possibility of a misstatement. I am telling you the definition of inherent risk. Possibility of a misstatement. In an account balance, classes of transaction, presentation and disclosure, which could be material either individually or in aggregate before consideration of controls. Simple language, possibility of a misstatement before consideration of controls. Number of students have gone down from 650 to 38, inherent risk. Receipts not being checked when students enter into the classroom, control risk. Itna to yaad rakho. Possibility of a misstatement before consideration of control, inherent risk. Possibility of a misstatement which will not be prevented, detected or corrected on a timely basis by the entity's internal control, control risk. Possibility of a misstatement which will not be prevented or detected or corrected on a timely basis by the entity's internal control. So you remember number of students going down from 650 to 38, inherent risk. Receipts not being checked when students enter into the classroom, control risk. Do you understand that? Inherent risk, control risk. So audit risk is the function of risk of material misstatement and detection risk. Risk of material misstatement could be at the financial statement level, assertion level. Financial statement level, any or many. And assertion level, account balance, classes of transaction, presentation, disclosure, inherent risk or control risk. What did I tell you? Audit risk is to be kept at 3. Do you remember that? Is everybody with me? Do you remember? Audit risk is to be kept at 3. Out of that, what I did KOC. Knowledge of client's business, understand the entity and its environment, and I came to know how much is the RMM. Risk, RMM matlab kya? Risk of material misstatement. As an example, I am taking it 2.3. No fighting with me. Why 2.3? I have to take anything which is less than 3. You understand? Audit risk is to be kept at 3. Out of that, RMM we assess. Say I have assessed it to be 2.3. How much is detection risk? Only intelligent students will answer. How much is detection risk? Exactly. It is to be kept at 0.7, and that is why detection risk we manage. Say on the other hand, RMM is only 0.4, example. So detection risk can be kept at 2. What the balancing figure. And what is the logic? Okay, first let me explain you detection risk. Did you understand or no? Yes. You understood? No? Okay. What is detection risk? You understand? Right. है ना? Long time back, but still example I can give you. 3 Idiot movie. है ना? In that their result had come. You understand? यहाँ पे फरहान, राजू. नीचे थे ना? दो नाम, फरहान and Raju. And then they were very upset. Chanchit did not clear. I assume everybody has seen the movie. Even though if you've not seen, no need to go and see today. I have to see the movie for detection risk example. No. You understand? Farhan and Raju cleared. And what they assumed? Chanchit has not cleared. And then they say, why the silencer is making so much noise? Then they say, okay, he's come second. तो बोले, who's come first? तो बोले, Chanchit. Okay. फिर बोले, आज human psychology के बारे में कुछ सीखा. कि जब फ्रेंड जब फेल होता है तो दुख होता है, पर जब फर्स्ट आता है तो और भी ज्यादा दुख होता है. Okay. Was the name of Chanchit there in the list? Was Chanchit's name there in the list? Did they detect? Detection risk. That is detection risk. You understand? Say it is 7:30 in the evening. And say you are at some client place around this area. And 9 o'clock your friend has booked tickets, Shivai, Dil Hai Mushkil, whatever. And you have to go for that movie. You understand? Now, and you have some 200 vouchers in front of you. And you have to finish checking them in 1 hour, 8:30 you'll have to leave, 9 o'clock movie. And you have to finish it today only because boss has said he will come tomorrow morning 9 o'clock. Generally he never comes, but you never know. You understand now? He's going to come tomorrow morning 9 o'clock. So now 7:30 to 8:30, 1 hour and 200 vouchers. What to do? Excel file open and de dana entry. You understand no? Purchase order, invoice number, date, period, de dana done. Fat. 7:40 what? 8:15 only you finish taking 200 vouchers. Now, why are you performing the audit procedure? Why are you doing vouching? To detect a misstatement कि ये vouchers में कुछ गड़बड़ तो नहीं है. And the possibility that you may not detect a misstatement is detection risk. The procedures performed by the auditor to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level will not detect a misstatement is detection risk. Can detection risk be 0? Never. Even though if you do 100% vouching, detection risk can never be 0. Yes, but how can you reduce detection risk? By increasing the? By obtaining more sufficient appropriate audit evidence? By being more alert? When would detection risk be high? When partner is doing checking or when article is doing checking? Ideally when article is doing checking. You understand? No. So the more experienced staff you put, the lower would be the detection risk. The more alert you are, the lower would be the detection risk. The more the samples you check, the lower would be the detection risk. So can you lower detection risk? Can you reduce it? You can't make it 0, but can you reduce it? Yes, that is why detection risk we manage. And this is so very logical. Listen to me again. If risk of material misstatement is high, 2.7, detection risk is to be kept at 0.3. And obviously to keep it lower, I will have to obtain more and more of sufficient appropriate audit evidence. And this is so logical कि जितना risk ज़्यादा उतना checking भी ज़्यादा. Client के यहाँ बहुत RMM है, बहुत risk है, तो obviously ऐसे client के यहाँ तो ज़्यादा checking करना ही पड़ेगा ना. And see, this is the reason why you have joined a class for audit. This you will not understand by reading the book on your own. जितना risk ज़्यादा, obviously उतना checking भी ज़्यादा. वो हमने बताया था ना, study and pass and study and फिर fail कम. You understand? See, on the other hand, RMM is only 0.4. So obviously detection risk can be kept at 2.6. So obviously checking would be less. See, दो client है, एक Geo Limited, एक Mio Limited. Geo Limited के यहाँ RMM ज़्यादा है, तो obviously यहाँ पे हम 50 samples check करेंगे. Mio Limited के यहाँ RMM कम है, तो obviously यहाँ पे से हम सिर्फ 10 samples check करेंगे. Are you getting? So RMM we assess and detection risk we manage. ये read only memory में लिख के रखो. Two memories are there, na, RAM and ROM. So you have to write this in ROM, read only memory, permanent ink. RMM we assess and detection risk we manage. How do you assess RMM? How do you assess RMM? KOC, knowledge of client's business. बताया था ना, understanding the entity and its environment. You understand the entity and its environment. You come to know how much is the RMM. And then balancing figure is detection risk, which you manage by performing substantive procedures, if you've heard that name. And then substantive procedures. The higher the RMM, the more the substantive or less the substantive? The higher the RMM, the more the substantive or the less the substantive? The higher the RMM. Risk is more. So substantive would be more or less? If RMM is more, risk of material misstatement is high. Substantive would be more or less? Risk is more. So substantive would be more. Any number of times I ask, that doesn't change the answer. You have to be confident. If risk is more, checking has to be more. You have to be more alert. ये एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन आया था कि how to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level, how to reduce detection risk. How do you reduce detection risk? By increasing sample size. By? How do you reduce detection risk?
Taking more sufficient and appropriate.
Obtaining more sufficient, appropriate audit evidence. More experienced staff on the audit, more proper audit planning, more supervision of the audit, more alert professional skepticism. अरे जितना अलर्ट होते जाओगे, जितना एक्सपीरियंस स्टाफ करेगा, उतना डिटेक्शन रिस्क कम होते जाएगा ना. So detection risk we can manage, no? है ना? जियो लिमिटेड के यहाँ you will send more experienced staff या मियो लिमिटेड के वहाँ you will send more experienced staff? जियो लिमिटेड, no. जियो लिमिटेड you will be more alert or मियो लिमिटेड you will be more alert? Geo Limited, because there the risk is more. So detection is to be kept low. So in a nutshell, if I want to put it again, just to summarize, audit risk is the function of risk of material misstatement and detection risk. Risk of material misstatement we assess and detection risk we manage. Risk of material misstatement could be at the financial statement level or assertion level. Assertion levels are 3: account balances, classes of transaction, presentation and disclosure, further divided under inherent risk and control risk. So there is an inverse relationship between inherent control and detection risk, no? If RMM is high, detection is to be kept low. If RMM is low, detection is to be kept high. So if inherent and control is more, detection is to be kept low. If inherent and control is low, detection is to be kept high. यहाँ पे किया ना अभी? There is an inverse relationship, no? If RMM is high, detection is to be kept low. If RMM is low, detection can be kept high. So there is an inverse relationship. Do you understand what is inherent risk? What is the definition? Possibility of a misstatement in an account balance, classes of transaction, presentation and disclosure, which could be material either individually or in the aggregate before consideration of controls. Possibility of a misstatement which could be material before consideration of controls. And what is control risk? Possibility of a misstatement which will not be prevented, detected or corrected on a timely basis by the entity's internal control. And what is detection risk? The procedures performed by the auditor to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level may not detect a misstatement. That is detection risk. Why are you performing substantive? To detect a misstatement. And the possibility that you may not detect a misstatement is detection risk. Like Three Idiots, whatever, they did not see the list properly, they were in a hurry, they assumed that it won't be there. But detection risk to hai na. Sometimes in a voucher you assume ये voucher में कुछ गलत हो ही नहीं सकता है. So that's also detection risk. You assumed that nothing could be wrong, but there might be something wrong. The procedures performed by the auditor to reduce detection risk to an acceptably low level, to reduce audit risk to an acceptably low level, may not detect a misstatement as detection risk. Do you understand that? Okay, right. So we shall continue tomorrow. Right, so tomorrow we'll study 210 and then after that go to the audit report ka standards, which are very important ones. Right, so you can give the